Wow, you really weren't kidding with this stack of department manager resources. RoleCatcher guides, career path breakdowns, even strategies for navigating AI recruiters. You've got it all. Clearly not just dipping your toes in the water here. You're ready to dive deep.
You're right about that. I guess the sheer volume of it all speaks for
It
itself.
really does. So let's unpack this system, starting with the heart of it all, the department manager.
Okay.
You'd think that title would be self-explanatory.
Yeah,
But I noticed even within these resources, the definition has nuances.
it's true. Even the term department manager has evolved. RoleCatcher uses the phrase high-ranking official, which it sounds impressive, but it goes beyond just a fancy title. It's about influence, impact.
High-ranking official does have a certain ring to it, though the guide also uses words like fast-paced and demanding. You've been in the trenches, so is this a career path paved with high stress, or is that a bit overblown?
It's definitely not for the faint of heart. That much is true. Think about it. You're the conductor of an orchestra responsible for the performance of an entire department. That means owning the victories, but also navigating challenges and learning from the missteps. You're juggling budgets, deadlines, and the ever-present element of interpersonal dynamics. It's a lot, but here's the key. Successful department managers don't just survive this environment, they thrive in it. They become masters of prioritization, strategic delegation, and maintaining composure when the pressure's on.
So it's less about avoiding stress and more about developing the skills to handle it effectively. Makes sense. Speaking of skills, the guide highlights leadership and communication as key ingredients for success. Those words often feel like standard resume fillers. But from your experience, what makes them so crucial for a department manager specifically?
Okay, so imagine this. You have a team full of talented individuals, each with their own strengths and perspectives. Leadership, in this context, is about channeling those individual talents toward a shared objective. It's about painting a clear vision and inspiring your team to not only see that vision, but to own their role in making it a reality.
I like that.
And communication, that's the bridge connecting everything and everyone. You're constantly communicating up the chain to upper management, across to other departments, and perhaps most importantly, downward, ensuring your team has the clarity and guidance to excel.
It's like being the central hub, ensuring everyone is connected and working in sync. But what happens when that sync gets a little offbeat? The guide doesn't shy away from the cons, and let's be honest, no job is perfect.
Okay.
How does a savvy department manager navigate those inevitable challenges?
Well, I think it's important to reframe cons as opportunities.
Okay.
Let's take conflict resolution, for example. In any environment where you have passionate people working towards a common goal, disagreements are bound to happen. But a skilled department manager doesn't see this as a roadblock. They see it as a chance to flex those communication and leadership muscles. It's about understanding differing viewpoints, finding that crucial common ground, and ultimately reaching a solution that benefits the entire team.
I love that perspective. Seeing those cons as less about personal dread and more like a skill set waiting to be unlocked. It actually makes me think about those cons as a self-assessment tool for anyone listening. If navigating those challenges makes your stomach churn, maybe this isn't the right fit. But if you see them as puzzles to be solved, as opportunities to grow,
Yes.
that's a pretty good indicator you're on the right track.
That's such a great point. Self-awareness is crucial in any career path. Speaking of which, the guide lays out a whole career ladder from entry level to senior positions with those fascinating example profiles sprinkled in. It's like getting a sneak peek into different chapters of a department manager's journey. So what are some of the key leaps in responsibility as someone climbs that ladder? What does that progression actually look like?
And equally important, for someone just starting out, what advice would you give them knowing what you know now?
Oh, that's a good question. Those early steps are all about mastering the fundamentals, proving yourself capable of not just managing tasks, but managing people. You're honing your operational skills, proving you can deliver tangible results, and building a foundation of trust with your team. But as you transition into a full-fledged department manager role, the scope of your responsibilities widens considerably. You're no longer just executing tasks, you're developing and implementing departmental strategies, managing budgets, analyzing performance data. It becomes much more about big picture thinking and long-term vision.
So it's less about being in the weeds and more about guiding the gardeners.
Exactly. And as you reach those senior levels, the focus shifts yet again. Now you're not just managing a department, you're influencing the trajectory of the entire organization. You're working closely with top executives, identifying new business opportunities, shaping company-wide strategies. It requires a whole other level of leadership, vision, and an innate understanding of how to navigate complex organizational dynamics.
That makes a lot of sense. What I found interesting in one of the example profiles was how much emphasis was placed on continuous learning. This particular individual had acquired multiple certifications throughout their career, constantly seeking out ways to upskill and adapt. It reminded me of that feeling you get in a video game when your character levels up, which, speaking of, brings us to RoleCatcher itself and that intriguing section on beating the automated recruiter. How has technology reshaped the game for aspiring department managers? What's different now?
It's a whole new ballgame, isn't it? Think about it. Your resume used to be reviewed by a person, someone who could read between the lines, see your potential. Now it's often an applicant tracking system,
Ah, okay.
or ATS for short, making those initial decisions. These systems are like gatekeepers, scanning for keywords, experience levels, even trying to assess cultural fit based on your digital footprint.
It's like you need to impress the robots before you even get to the humans. It makes those hard skills, specific software, industry certifications, those quantifiable proficiencies even more vital.
Absolutely. You need to speak the language these systems understand, and that's where I think resources like RoleCatcher Skills Gap feature become invaluable.
Hmm.
Imagine having a tool that analyzes a job description and compares it to your profile, highlighting exactly where you might be lacking.
It's like having a personalized roadmap, not just for your career aspirations, but for navigating the digital hurdles along the way. But which begs the question, is this the future of job hunting? Are we all just perpetually playing catch-up with these ever-evolving algorithms?
It's definitely a sign of things to come. And while that might seem daunting, I think it's important to remember that technology can be a tool for good. That same skills gap analysis that might highlight where you're falling short, it can also reveal incredibly valuable insights into your own professional development. It can pinpoint which certifications or courses might give you a competitive edge, essentially illuminating the path forward.
I'm hearing a knowledge is power theme here, and I like it. Now, beyond those digital skills, the guide also touches on broader industry trends like digitalization and automation. You've always had your finger on the pulse of these shifts, so can you give us some concrete examples of how these trends might impact a department manager's day-to-day work, say, depending on their field?
Absolutely. Let's take the retail industry, for instance. A department manager in that world is no longer just overseeing inventory and customer service interactions. They need to be comfortable with e-commerce platforms, data analytics, and quite possibly even social media marketing.
Right.
Or imagine a department manager in manufacturing. They might be dealing with smart factories, robotics, AI-powered supply chains.
It sounds like every industry is in its own way becoming a tech industry.
Precisely. And this is where your own innate curiosity becomes a huge asset. It's not enough to just understand the fundamentals of your field anymore. You need to be actively engaged in the evolution of that field, constantly seeking out new knowledge and adapting to those shifts in the landscape.
It's like that example profile we talked about earlier, the one with all the certifications. It wasn't just about checking boxes. It was about a mindset of continuous learning, which actually reminds me of something else the guide touched on, the rise of remote and hybrid work models. That's a game changer for a department manager, isn't it?
Absolutely. Managing a team that isn't always physically present requires a whole different set of leadership skills.
Mm.
You need to excel at virtual communication, building trust and rapport remotely, and setting crystal clear expectations even when you're not face-to-face.
So much of what we've discussed today hinges on adaptability. This idea that a department manager needs to be tech-savvy, a master communicator, a strategic thinker, but also someone who can cultivate a sense of connection and collaboration even from afar. Those feel like such valuable skills no matter where your career path takes you. But I have to ask, after this deep dive into the world of department managers, after exploring all these different facets, what's the one question you hope our listener is asking themselves right now?
At the end of the day, I think out of everything we've covered, the most crucial question is this. Does the department manager role align with your personal definition of success? It's a path that demands a lot, no doubt, but it also offers incredible opportunities for growth leadership and making a real tangible impact.
I think that's such a powerful point. It's not just about climbing a ladder. It's about choosing the right ladder for you.
Exactly.
It's about understanding your own values, your strengths, your aspirations, and finding that sweet spot where your skills and passions intersect.
You said it. It's not about chasing a title or a paycheck. It's about finding a role where you can truly thrive, where you can contribute your unique talents, and at the end of the day, feel that deep sense of accomplishment that comes from aligning your work with your values.
So for anyone listening who's feeling that spark, that sense of possibility, remember, the job market might be constantly evolving, but you don't have to be intimidated by that. By understanding the trends, honing your skills, embracing that spirit of adaptability, you empower yourself to navigate those shifts and carve your own unique path to success.
And who knows, maybe the next time we're unpacking those example profiles, we'll be reading about someone who was inspired by this very conversation.
Now, wouldn't that be something? That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep aiming for those big, audacious goals.